Hey everyone, so sorry for the delay. The governor is a little bit held up by the weather, but he's about 15 minutes away. So in the meantime, if everyone can make sure that your phones are silenced and all that stuff, so that way there's no interruptions, and we'll get going as soon as we can. So thanks for being here.
Check my hair real quick. Good plan.
Rubbing his head on a balloon on the way over?
Yeah. They're ice brother?
Hmm?
Yeah, I know. Oh, you got this. Oh, that's what we did. We got yelled at? Alright, how's the west side going? Where you at? Every day of the week now he works is the last day of the week. I was trying to ask him about it in the kitchen this morning. He just kind of like, looked at me like I was stupid or something. I was like, feel any weird or different? He's like, I don't know. Guess I have to wait till I'm actually there. Maybe still so I don't know. But I mean, he's such like. That's what he said was gonna be the weirdest one. Group shot? Okay. Yeah, we won't be in it. We want to do blue steel. So we turn right or turn left? We just turn right. Yeah. I was ready, huh? All three? 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Make sure that at Bobby E. You know what I mean? Okay. Down. Does he want you in there? I'm too expensive.
I did the triangle.
He's been with us.
My way, big smile on three. From picture. 1, 2, 3.
Look gorgeous.
Perfect. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Sweet. My hair's not very.
Could be yours. That's just my favorite. Hey, you gotta be careful how you sit. I believe it. Especially if you're a husky. Husky, you gotta be careful how you sit.
What's up with the boy, man?
When I was telling you to take a picture, I meant when I'm up here signing the contract.
I would never say it's making a preference.
Messed up.
Great, that was 2 months ago. Anybody can do that.
I have no clue what you just said.
Hey, where'd you get these from? Are those the Nissan?
They're a little rough when you bring them in. You have to wear some other pair.
Something in there,
Walking around and putting in, it's sweating. Like my other ones I've had for 3 years now, 4.5 years, and they're awesome. They're just not polished.
I've been learning to break them in, so like I switch over to these.
They're heavy. They're pretty heavy. But they're waterproof.
I always get up there, always
Well, they give out red bags. They give out letters now. All new helmets have the picture of the dog. Because they're like, they don't have a picture of everything the goggles have. All the freebies, that's what they don't have. But then, I mean, the only good point is like people that care, I guess, like, they don't want to fire. They're not like the ones you can't burn them off. Like people been a fire, they look exactly right. So, like people that, yeah. But like one throw at 40 minutes, 3 or 4 good ass fires. Yeah.
She said, not me. What does it say? Class. There goes our Rangers.
Wow, what a great setup. Look at this. Hey, guys. How you doing? Hello.
Well, thanks for coming out. It's good to see everybody back here in Jacksonville, and we're happy to be able to have today's event and deliver some more support for the people of Florida, particularly our first responders. I do want to thank from the Jacksonville Fire and Rescue Department, Director and Fire Chief Keith Powers for being here with us, as well as Chief of Emergency Preparedness Division, Todd Smith. And then you'll also hear from Captain Chris Stover, who's here. We also have Dane Eagle, who's the head of the Department of Economic Opportunity for the state of Florida. And then we've got Murderers Row from the Duval and surrounding areas legislative delegation, Senator Aaron Bean, who I think is going to end up going to Washington soon. Don't catch Potomac fever when you go up there, I'll tell you that. We have Senator Jen Bradley from Clay County, and then we have Representatives Garrison, Duggan, Yarborough, Brannon, and Fisher. Yarborough, do you have an opponent? Okay, all right. So I think he's going to end up being in the Florida Senate very soon as well. So we're happy to be here today to be able to present the first set of, for the second year in a row we're doing this, $1,000 bonus payments for all first responders in the state of Florida. And we're so happy to be here to be able to do that at Jacksonville Fire and Rescue. Because we know how hard you guys have been working. You know, in all ways, it's a tough job, but particularly since COVID, being able to, needing to flex and put yourselves out there. And we're just, we thought last year that this was something that was appropriate to do to show that we support. And it was something that I think a lot of people felt, obviously you like the money, especially, you know, when you've had about a bite inflation like we've seen over the last year and a half. But it's also just showing that the state of Florida appreciates your service. And I think a lot of people really appreciated that. So we said we were going to do it again. You know, it helps when you have by far the biggest budget surplus in the history of the state of Florida. You can do a lot of things when you have that. And we would never have had that surplus if the other folks had had their way and shut this state down for a year. That would not have happened. We would be in dire straits had we listened to them. So we did the right thing. And so we got this approved by the legislature. Of course, the budget doesn't take effect till July 1st. So since then, the Department of Economic Opportunity has been working with all the departments across the state. See, obviously, you guys know, police and fire EMT, very few of them are state employees. They're municipal employees, county employees. So it's not like we just have that information. So we've got to go work with every fire department, every police department, every sheriff's department in the state of Florida to get the names of everybody and make sure that we could process these checks. And so all Florida first responders who were employed by any level of local government as of May 1st of this year are eligible to receive the bonus. And so we're going to be handing out bonuses to the folks you see here. And this will be the first checks that have gone out. And now the rest of Jack's Fire Rescue, you'll get them in the mail. And people from the state over the next couple weeks, you're going to see the checks go out. And this is significant. What is the total number of people, Dane? You're talking about yeah, almost 100,000 Floridians across the state are going to get a bonus check for a job well done. And we were also happy to, when we were doing the bonus checks last year, we were handing them out. We probably were handing them out probably about this time, September. You also had a movement amongst some local governments to force the fire, the police to do a COVID jab or else potentially lose your job. And we said that that's inappropriate in the state of Florida. You should not have to choose. You shouldn't have to choose between a job that you need and a shot that you may not want. And so we said that's an individual's decision, and we're not going to stand for that. So we said immediately the government agencies, you can't do it. We even provided protection for employees of private companies because we know how important those jobs were to them as well. But just think about, you had police, fire, rescue, EMT, who had been on the front lines of all this from the very beginning, and everyone was saying how thankful they were. Then a year and a half later, you turn around and you want to fire them because they made a different choice than you're thinking that they should have made. And a lot of these folks had already had COVID. They did have immunity through prior infection. The CDC did not recognize that for a long time, even though it was obvious and it was at that point a basic scientific fact. And so we're proud that we protected jobs in the state of Florida. And we've had people come from other departments around the country just for this issue alone. That's not how you treat people, and that's not how we treat people in the state of Florida. I'm also... And Dane, are we also including, including the taxes for this? Yes, sir. So we did a $1,000 bonus. You know, they're unleashing 87,000 IRS agents on the public very soon, so we don't want you to get caught up. But we want it to actually be $1,000 in your pocket, and so the check is going to be written for more than that to account for any taxes that you may owe. I'm glad to be able to do these bonus payments today, which is of course a Monday, but yesterday was the 21st anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. And it was a time when we reflect obviously on the loss of a lot of great people who were in those towers, folks who were in the Pentagon, and of course folks who were on United Flight 93. We lost a number of folks from the FDNY, NYPD, the Port Authority, who were running into the burning buildings. And when you wear those uniforms, that's what you're required to do. And there's a lot of different things that happen that the rest of the public is not expected to necessarily run towards, but the folks who are wearing the uniform have to run towards the fire and run towards the danger. And September 11th was probably the most dramatic example of that, because obviously you have massive planes going into some of our biggest buildings in the whole country, but you had folks going in there who knew they probably weren't going to come out. And you had folks going in there who were able to marshal to safety hundreds, if not thousands of people who otherwise would have perished. And so if you think about what those folks did at the World Trade Center, also the civilians on United Flight 93, that plane would have ended up crashing into a civilian target somewhere in Washington, D.C. The folks that stepped up that day saved thousands of lives. And so we obviously mourned nearly 3,000 who lost their lives, but we also give thanks to those who stood up and who put themselves on the line. And yes, the folks who perished in the towers that were first responders, but I think a lot of people understand, there are folks who survived as first responders who had really significant injuries. You had folks that had health problems that developed for being in such a really, really problematic environment with all the stuff that was floating around in the air. And then, of course, you've had a lot of issues with resilience and mental health that have happened, post-traumatic stress. So this has been a burden that a lot of the folks who served that day and who survived have had to carry for over 20 years. And so just understand that. And that's part of the reason when we see that we're so appreciative of the folks that we have protecting our communities. And I will also say, if you look at the folks who were in 9/11 or in the various agencies in New York City, the people that have left the tri-state area, like on retirement, overwhelmingly choose to come to Florida. I mean, it's not even close in terms of where people are retiring to who have served their communities. And so that's something I think that strengthened our communities. I was in Palm Harbor yesterday for a 9/11 remembrance, and we had some of these guys from the FDNY, NYPD, long since retired now, but they've all decided, and so many of them have decided to make Florida their home. So we're proud of that. We're proud of being a place that people want to retire to, have that service heart. Of course, we have more and more people signing up to be police and fire in the state of Florida than probably we ever had. We're going to be highlighting some of the $5,000 bonuses that we're doing for police officers who are moving into Florida from out of state, and there's not a lot of states that are matching the outreach that we're doing. So we're proud of that, and we're proud to be able to do something really, really special here today. We also were able to, in the most recent budget, Duval County's got a lot going on. Really all the counties in this area, St. John's, Clay, Nassau, they have stuff going on. As you get further into some of the more rural counties, a little bit harder to generate some of the tax revenue, and we're working on more things to do economically there, but some of them are what we consider fiscally constrained. We did $15 million to increase sheriff's deputy salaries in those fiscally constrained counties. So that's a huge boon to them for recruitment and retention, and we were really happy to be able to do that. One of the things we've also been able to do in last year's budget, focusing on, not just fire and police, but also teachers and nurses, people that we're calling hometown heroes. We have a program to help them afford a new home with down payment assistance. I mean, you have massive inflation going on. That's affecting everything. If you look at how much it costs to build a house today versus 3 years ago, most of those inputs have gone up through the roof. Of course, you also have a lot of demand for people that want to live in the state of Florida, and so those houses go a lot quicker here than maybe some other parts of the country. But the bottom line is we want people serving our communities to be able to live in the communities. I don't want you to have to commute an hour and a half just to be able to go to work. And so we've been able, how many people have we done on Hometown Heroes? We've done a lot so far. Yeah, I mean, it's been really good demand. I think we've paid out I think close to $30 million in down payment assistance for folks throughout the state of Florida. And so that's just showing that, we understand the salary you may get, a bonus, great, but, can you live in the community? And we want to make sure that you can do that. So we're proud of the Hometown Heroes Act, and we're proud of what we've been able to do. So I'm going to present right now the big check to Jack's Fire and Rescue. Then Dane is going to speak, and then we're going to have some other folks, and then we'll present the real checks, which I think everybody wants to come here for. So, okay, who wants to take this? So this is the total amount of bonuses being paid out, $2.1 million. All right, good deal. Congrats. Thank you. All right, Dane.
All right, well, thank you all, and thanks, Governor DeSantis. What we do at DEO is we assist the governor in advancing the economy. He does fine on his own, but it's great to be able to assist in that, and we do that by, one, focusing on workforce, focusing on businesses, and focusing on communities. What greater workforce is there than our first responders? You're there first in and last out to make sure that we are served, and it's been a pleasure at DEO to serve you. It's an exciting new program, thanks to the governor's leadership and the legislature for answering his call to make sure that, as the governor said, $1,000 is a good amount of money, but it's really just to say thank you. We stand with our first responders, and a lot of other states have turned their back on them. Well, the proof is in the pudding, and we are now the #1 state for net migration. They're coming to Florida in droves. Our unemployment rate is at 2.7% compared to the nation at 3.7%, a whole point higher than Florida, thanks to the governor's Freedom First principles and letting people know that we care about those who serve us. So while that's great news, that means there's more work for all of you to protect and serve and make sure that you are assisting. And this is just, in the governor's mind and the legislature, another way to say thank you. So thanks for what you do. My team's here, and they're excited to put the work in to assist all of you. And I'm sure there'll be more if the governor's in charge. So thank you all very much.
All right. All right, Rescue Director and Fire Chief Keith Powers.
Well, good afternoon. The men and women of JFRD, they work extremely hard every day protecting us. During the COVID pandemic, they put their lives on the line every day for this community. In fact, we lost a firefighter in the line of duty due to COVID that he got exposed to while serving this community. So thank y'all for the hard work that you do every day. And last year Governor DeSantis recognized the fact that y'all were working so hard and that you were putting your lives on the line, and he recognized that with a $1,000 bonus. And Governor, I want to thank you for delivering that. He also recognized during when we had the Surfside collapse in Miami, the firefighters went to him and said, "Governor, we need some money for USAR sustainment," and he provided $10 million in this year's budget to help our firefighters have the tools they need to respond to emergencies. Once again, Governor, you delivered. JFRD went to the governor back in January and said, we need a health and wellness center for our firefighters to make sure that they're at peak performance when they're delivering this service to this community. Once again, Governor, you delivered. And once again this year, he's recognized the hard work that these men and women do every day and provided another $1,000 bonus. Once again, you've delivered for us. So, Governor, on behalf of JFRD, I want to thank you for making sure our firefighters have all of their needs met on and off duty.
Okay, Captain Chris Stover.
I want to start off by saying thank you, Governor DeSantis. This money represents the support you show to hard work and first responders put in and day out. I've been a firefighter for 17 years with the JFRD, and have lived in Florida my entire life. Being a firefighter is fulfilling and rewarding, giving us the opportunity to help people during their time of need. Working the last couple of years has been more stressful than normal, but we're thankful that the governor was out in front fighting for first responders in the state of Florida. Like myself, there are many firefighters and other first responders with families and young children. I have an amazing wife and 2 young kids, and we're thankful for this bonus to help with the costs of supporting our family. Whether it's supplies or clothes for school, a fall trip with family, or gifts during the holiday season, this money definitely helps easing those costs. On behalf of myself and all first responders, we thank you for your continued support.
All right. Are you're gonna announce where?
Announce the chiefs are going to hand you the checks.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
All right, well,
Yeah,
first up,
how is it? Is it in order? Or
it's in alphabetical order from the folks behind us and then the folks sitting in front of us. We're starting with Captain Chris Stover, who just spoke.
all right. Where's the end? Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Scott A. Bell. Justin Adler. Omeyrol Austin. Michael Barrow. Lucas Beal.
Thanks so much.
Patrick Bowen.
Thanks so much.
Nathan Brown.
Thank you for your service.
Maury Cooksey.
Thanks so much.
Austin Corum.
Thank you.
Daryl Cyrus. Joshua Davis. Carly Dennison. Kyle Dingman. Robert Elkins. Jeffrey Feltman. Justin Gargiulo. Michael Gill. Warren Golden.